Hi, it's Clark on Temptress. Today I'm going to review the Grener Power 300 amp hour 12 volt battery. This might be the best deal I've seen ever. I've reviewed one other Grener battery before, a 48 volt. Was it last summer, summer before? I don't remember. Point is, put it in a golf cart. It's been working just fine ever since, as far as I can tell. Perfectly good battery. So today I'm going to review this one, and in so many ways it impresses me. Comes with a couple manuals, a decent manual that tells you how to charge lithium. One of the ways that can work, it's the tail current method of stopping. It's not the right way. I really think the bank manager is the right way, of course. Most battery manuals are telling you an absolutely wrong way to charge your batteries, so there's that. I don't know what this is, some little brochure, nothing big. You get some screws long and short for mounting cables, which is actually really useful in the lithium world, because if you have a bunch of thick terminals, you need the longer ones. It has low temperature charge protection, so if you were to be in freezing temperatures, it wouldn't accept a charge and wouldn't hurt itself. That's a great little extra. It uses the Zhang BMS. And in all my playing around with batteries, I've learned a lot. And what it really comes down to is the BMS is what makes the battery. And as far as the cheap BMS is, the one you're going to find on Amazon on discount batteries go, the Zhang is probably my favorite one. Its app is straightforward, tells you what you need to know, does a good job. It tells you when it's balancing, which is so handy, and it balances. Now, a bit ago, I started trying something kind of off-field here a little bit. I took a little bit of a runner, and this whole series is the best cheap lithium batteries. And I thought, I'd kind of like to see what the expensive ones are like. And of course, I'm getting offers now to review everything you can imagine. So I accepted an offer to review a couple of epochs and some other expensive batteries, and they just weren't very good. They're really expensive. They had some fusing and stuff, but you could put that fusing on the outside, probably better off than putting it on the inside. The epoch, for example, the big epoch, it just wouldn't even balance itself. And it tried for days and days. And the littler epoch, it took days to get it to balance itself. Well, here's my notes. Of course, you're not going to be able to read them, but 4 or 5 charge cycles. And the thing was balanced. It balanced very actively. It got right to it. So it's moving some actual amps between the cells, I assume. Came in pretty good shape to start with. That's what's really important. How long does it take and how well can the darn thing balance itself and how well does it report back to you? And this did a great job. But what really makes it great, this is 300 amp hours of battery power, and you can get it right now for $379.99 on Amazon with a coupon. Check the link below, of course. And I think the normal price for it is $399.99. So $400, you get 300 amp hours of battery in a relatively small case, a plastic case for us boaters. I've been looking at some metal case batteries because they look like the best one I could find at the time. But, that's steel. Steel will rust. Plastic won't rust. Let's do the things I do up front. Oh shoot, I didn't weigh it. I'm gonna go get a scale. Weight, 57.4 pounds. It's a bit, but 300 amp hours, 50 some pounds, pretty good deal. That's a manageable amount to move around. Its dimensions are about 9 3/4 by 7 3/4 by 15 inches. I don't measure the terminal, so allow for that. It has a BMS inside that can continuously put out 200 amps, so it's rated. And when I did the discharge cycle on it, I got 331 amp hours out of it. That's what's expected. That's like 10% over. And it's just kind of how lithium iron phosphate is. When it's brand new, you get a little more. Pretty quickly, it comes down about 10%. So yeah, it's a 300 amp hour battery, just what it should be. Now, when I did my analysis of the cells, I, do what I normally do. I use the bank manager to charge it to 100%. Then I charged it slowly using my bench power supplies and really watching what's happening. Like I said, I had to do a few cycles to let it balance itself out, but I was very happy with how fast it did that. The weirdness was, usually the BMS shuts the battery down when the top cell hits 3.65 volts. Now, I kept it at 3.65 volts in my balancing, never went over that because, well, I want to compare apples to apples. But then I let it go until the BMS shut down to make sure the BMS is doing its job. It let it go to 3.75 volts. Why does that matter? I think that's a little too high, but if you're going to charge properly, you're going to use something like the bank manager or lower voltage or whatever you do, it's just not going to matter because you're not going to go up that high. I think it was a mistake. Why you need to know that is it won't stop at 14.6. It's going to go up a bit further before it stops accepting power, assuming everything's balanced. Well, let's dig inside. All right, I've got it open. Kind of felt bad opening this one because based on the BMS inside the case, all the information the app gave me, this guy was working well. But we got to know what's going on inside. Better for me to destroy one battery than you guys, to have to wonder what's going on inside the battery, right? So this particular battery took one for the team, and it really did. Usually the cases are different, and they're put together with like some silicon sealant, and if you're a little careful, I can get them apart and reseal them and put them right back together, and they're really good as new with a few scratches. Well, not this guy. He's glued together with a glue that's stronger than the plastic. I had to work really hard to get this thing open, and when I put it back together, and I will, it'll probably have some sealing tape around it. It'll never be the beauty queen it was yesterday. But anyway, it's open now. Let's take a look. Get you a little closer. We see that they did something a little different. Usually there's like 3 or 2 big wires, and they chose to use smaller wire and 9 of them. So there's 9 small wires going from the negative connection of all the cells to the BMS, 9 small wires going to the terminal, and again on the positive 9 small wires. What's in here is a Zhaozang 200 amp BMS with cold weather, shut down, so it won't charge at all when it's cold. And I'm trying to get you a good shot of these little deals in case you want to scan them off the video. They give you links to the app and all that. Let me put this back. Cells, they look fine. I can see them pretty well. They look like your standard, good cells. They're obviously not used cells. Welded connectors, big old bars, just exactly what you'd expect nowadays. Long ago, when I first started this, cells just weren't that great. In fact, I reviewed one battery, they put used cells in it, and it was, a friend had bought that battery. I wouldn't have bought it because the ad just was too good to be true and it looked dodgy, but he bought a bunch of them, and when the first couple failed, he sent them over to me, and we all know. It's just not the case anymore. Cells used to be, ridiculously expensive, and it made sense to get old cells and try to pass them off. Cells are now, reasonably priced. You can tell batteries aren't that expensive anymore. So I'm not too worried about cells. I haven't heard of anybody complain about cells that were charged properly. And by that, I mean the bank manager. Never push too hard. Stop at 100% internal cell charge. Nothing to do with voltage. And, no one's even reported a set died yet. So they seem to be holding up. It's the BMS that matters, then probably the case, you know, and the wiring and installation, and then probably just how good the company is. Oh, and of course the price. Push that up. Price-wise, this whole series started with Clark buy, or now they give to me, really, really inexpensive batteries. Let's see if we can find some absolute gems that don't cost a lot. And I did that for a while, and I found some good batteries. And then I decided, like last summer, hey, let's see how the other half lives, right? So I got some epochs. I got, you know, the high-end batteries. These are talking like over $1,000. Like one of them was $2,000. That wasn't half the battery this is. I wouldn't have that on my boat, and I would prefer this. It's in every way better. It doesn't have internal fusing. That's the only thing it doesn't have. There's software fusing in the BMS, of course. But all you gotta do if you want fusing is put fusing on the outside. What's the advantage of fusing on the outside? Well, if the fuse blows, you just change it. Internal fusing, you gotta open the case, probably go soldering to get it fixed. Anyway, someone offered me one of either, and I was gonna go off into harm's way sailing halfway around the world. This is the guy I'd pick, not the Epoch. Okay, enough of that. Let's pull some power out of it and see if it gets hot. This cord runs through my house into my backyard where there's a space heater. It's Florida, it's hot. I don't want to be heating my house and fighting it with my air conditioner, so that's what I've done. Plug that in. Inverter's putting out 112 volts. It was 0. I plugged it in. I now see 11.6. And now let me see what this is putting out. What's drawing through this anyway. Clear it. I got a 0. Boy, how can I get this so we can both see it? I think here. Oops. You can see it. I can't yet. I'm seeing 114.4 amps being drawn. It is almost exactly 10 o'clock. So I'm going to come back and take a look. All right, it's been a half hour. Let's have a look. Nothing feels too hot so far. What's the thermal camera say? Hottest thing in the case is 113 Fahrenheit, and that's over here. Yeah, 113 is not that hot. It's just warm. A little warmth here. Now, I really could barely even feel any heat. There we go, a little bit of warm there, right nestled in on all that, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the thermals here. Let me shut this off so you don't have to hear the blower. And of course, this battery, it's so big, it could be running that space heater, which, you know, it's a big space heater, great big thing. You've seen it before, for, well, like almost 3 hours from a battery. Okay, that's cool. I like this battery. Said it before, I like it. Let's go through the leaderboard and compare it to others. Capacity. It had 331 amp hours. That's like 10% over its rating. That's what you should expect. This one is welded well, put together right. Excellent cells. Build quality. That's the category where I talk about the BMS, and this is my favorite inexpensive BMS. It has cold weather charge protection. It has 200 amps of continuous delivery, which is plenty for a battery in this size. If you needed more, you would really want more amp hours, so you would, you know, get 2 of them. Then you'd have 400 amps of delivery. So good choice, sized well. Wires are good. The case is just what we want. This is the first time I found a battery I really like in a plastic case in quite some time. I would say this is the battery to buy right now on the leaderboard. I'm sure it's going to come out on top. If you want one, go down to the description of this video. There'll be a link. If you use that link right now on Amazon, you know, the discount code and everything is built into the link. So make sure you push the little button that says coupon if you need to. But yeah, I recommend it. So case gets an excellent, and boy, is it glued together strongly. Cost to value, absolutely excellent. You know, with those high-priced ones, I had to hem and haw and say, if you're the guy that wants that set of features, you know, this is worth paying for, or maybe it's not. Oh my God, this has everything you really need and it's just cheap. Excellent. And then the company. I have no complaints with the company at all. I've been talking to them, asking them some further questions. They've been very responsive. I know that's not really apples to apples because they're going to talk to me nicer than they're going to talk to somebody that bought a battery on Amazon. But I tell you, a lot of the companies don't talk to me very well. They just drop the ball. And if the marketing department doesn't care about their battery, I bet their customer service doesn't care more about their batteries. So I'm going to give them an excellent there too. But like always, if you have a complaint with this company, get back to me, put it in the description. And if you want to know, hey, what's going on with this, you know, at a slightly future date, go read that description. If you see a lot of people saying, no, they're not getting back to me, I got a lemon. But I have no reason to expect that. Also, I reviewed one of these Greners months and months and months ago. It's been riding around in a golf cart. It's a friend of a friend's golf cart, but my friend would hear about it if something went wrong and he'd tell me. So I think it's held up just fine. Guess that's about it. That's my review of Grener Power's 300 amp hour battery. Might have found a new favorite. If I was to buy a battery today, this is the battery I would buy. Now, if you think this video was helpful to you, please push the like. And if you haven't subscribed, come on, subscribe. Bye from Clark on Temptress.